The lady you're going to meet today has a heart of compassion and the spirit of a warrior. Please welcome Donna Grisham. Hi, Donna.
Hi, Donna.
I know. Donna. You know, let me just say right up front, you have worked here with Sid Roth Ministries for many, many years, and so long you have served and worked with the guests that come on and just been such a ministry to them. And my goodness, and now here you are sharing your own story and what God has done in your life. I love that so much. Let me start here at the beginning. Now, I know your story reads like a novel almost. It's the beginning. You were premature, born, not expected to live, but you were such a fighter. When I say the spirit of a warrior, you started right out of the womb like that, and it has continued and continued. And then later on in life, even as a young child, your father took you and your siblings away from your mother.
Yes.
Left her stranded on the road, and you crying from the car wanting your mom. And just when you thought it couldn't get any worse, Donna, it got worse. What happened?
Yeah. Well, at 16, Donna, I happened to be living with my grandparents, and at 16, I went to a bowling alley with a friend, and ended up leaving the bowling alley with the friend. My grandmother told me not to leave the bowling alley, and but the friend just kept, peer pressure, just kept, pushing and pushing. She liked the guy. She wanted to go ride with, so we left.
So she wanted to go out with this guy,
other guy,
but she needed somebody else to go with
because
his friend, the other guy.
And I found out later that the reason why they probably would have went by themselves had he had his truck, but we had, the other guy had to take him to get his truck. And so that's what we ended up going, and we took him to get his truck. And when we got there, I went to scoot out to go out to get out of the truck, and she said, no, she said, you'll be fine. She said, he'll take you back to the bowling alley. And I said, no, I don't want that. And because my grandmother had told me, don't leave the bowling alley under any circumstances, until her parents came back to pick us up.
So not only had you disobeyed your grandmother, you were about to step into a truck with a total stranger.
Exactly. We were in a truck. And that's funny you say that, because my thought was, as we were leaving the bowling alley, my thought was, I can't believe I'm doing this. In the back of my mind, I don't know these guys. I knew her, and I guess that was some safety, I thought.
But that's how strong what you mentioned, peer pressure, is sometimes.
Yes.
You just didn't feel like you had a choice.
Right.
So you did it.
You really don't want to ruin somebody else's, and I mean, you don't think, as a 16-year-old, you're not thinking logically, really. You're not even. And so we went on, and when she got out and she left me with him, he pulled away and pulled into an alley and raped me.
Oh.
And then after he finished, he pulled off and he started driving, and I was crying, and he pulled over on the side of the road and stopped and said, get out. And he said, you're not going to breathe a word to anyone. He said, besides, if you do, you're going to be the one in trouble. He said, with your grandmother. He had listened to the conversation that I had with my friend. He had totally listened to it and took what my grandmother told me not to leave against me. So my thought was, well, I can't say it because I'm going to be in trouble. And so I ended up back at the bowling, and I had to walk where he dropped me off. My arm was skin up, and I was, so I walked back to the bowling alley, and I was crying. And as I walked in the bowling alley, I ended up, as I was walking in the bowling alley, I ended up seeing her and the guy,
friend,
and she saw me. We called eyes, and she came over and she said, "What's wrong?" And I ran to the bathroom, and she came after me, and I ran in, and she said, "What is your problem?" And I said, "He raped me." And she said, "Oh, just say what it was, Donna. It was consensual. He didn't rape you." And I said,
so she was totally discounting what had happened. But here you were, this had happened, and now your friend wouldn't validate what you were saying. But how were you feeling on the inside?
Oh, I was devastated. I was totally devastated, and my thought was, he's right. Nobody's going to believe me. Nobody is going to believe me at all. They're, and so I took that day. I took it and buried it. I didn't want to ever share anything, ever talk about the rape or anything. I get back to my house. I get in the shower. They first of all, her parents picked us up, and it was funny because her mother made a statement to me. She goes, "Donna, you seem awfully quiet tonight." And she said, "Are you okay?" And I said, "Oh, I'm fine."
Wow.
And I didn't breathe a word. Because I was scared. Because she actually, before we got in the car, she said, "You're not going to say a word." She said, "Don't you dare even think about saying a word in front of my parents." So
even though you were burying the incident, what happened that night, you have buried that. I'm not going to say anything about it. Life goes on. And how did it affect you? I mean, how were you feeling?
I was already in a state of depression, and I just couldn't believe that all it had happened. And that after that night, I had went home, took a shower, went to bed, cried myself to sleep, and I vowed on my pillow, laying on my pillow, I vowed that I didn't have to deal with this anymore. I'm going to just bury it, and I won't even have to think about it. So I went into a sort of a state of denial. I totally was in denial that anything had happened. I wouldn't have to talk about it, so I could just get over it. My thing was, the quicker I could not think about this, I could just get over it. It took me a while, though, because it took me a while to even go back to school. And my grandmother didn't even realize, because I didn't share with my grandmother or anybody. Well, next thing I know, my mom, this is, way later, and next thing I know, my mom's there, and she's taking me to the doctor. And I don't remember going in the doctor's office. I don't remember being inside the doctor's office. The only thing I remember is walking out of the doctor's office and my mom saying, "I ought to leave and never come back." Well, when she said those words, it pierced, it was like a dart going into my chest.
Was it like she was ashamed, or she couldn't believe that it happened?
She didn't know I was raped.
And you didn't tell her?
No. I didn't. I was out of fear from the guy, and out of fear that my grandparents would be upset, my grandmother would, and it wasn't that I was afraid that my grandmother was going to beat me or something, because they were never abusive. It was the fact that it would hurt them so bad, and I didn't want to hurt them.
So you wound up having an abortion.
I did.
Which added to how you were feeling on the inside. Then you have said that guilt and shame became a regular part of your life at that point. But years later, Donna, I know things progressed and your life went on. Years later, at 24 years old, some time had passed, and you wound up pregnant again, and another abortion.
Yeah, people, they're like, "How could she do this?" Well, when I'll just tell you, on the table during that abortion, when they turned on the machine, the moment they turned that machine on, I commenced to scream and turn it off, stop, turn it off.
Wow.
And he didn't turn it off. Well, at the end, my first thought was, oh my God, what have I done to my babies?
Yes.
What have I done? And and I just thought, I don't even deserve, I don't deserve to live. I don't deserve, much less be happy.
Wow.
There was no way I was ever going to be happy.
Well, we're going to need to take a break in just a moment, but I wanted to cover one more thing before we do that. Donna, at this point you were depressed, you were riddled with guilt and shame and feeling so bad about yourself, even suicidal thoughts. Yeah. So everybody's like, oh, okay, well let's just send you to a counselor. Let's get some counsel. So a wonderful minister counseled you and said, Donna, God can forgive you. God can forgive you. Oh, that's great news. He can forgive you.
Well, Donna, actually what happened is I ended up going to this pastor. I made the choice to go to this pastor and talk to him and tell him what had happened. And actually, it was the father of the second babies, of the baby's father. It was his father. So basically, the baby that was aborted was his grandbaby. So he actually, when I shared with him, he told me, he said, he wanted to pray with me and tell me, he said, look, God can forgive you. He said, there's nothing that you've done that God can't forgive.
And you would think you would immediately take hold of that, but what happened?
Oh, I couldn't, because Donna, I was raised in a church that, number one, this church didn't believe that healing was for today, didn't believe that miracles, believe in miracles. And I struggled even to believe in a God that loved us. It's like they didn't believe in miracles or healing. So my thought was, wait a minute, is this Jesus real?
Yeah.
I mean, I just went through that time in my life. I went through it as it's just a story.
Yes.
It's not real.
So if you didn't even know if he was real, how could he forgive you? How could he accept you when you couldn't even forgive yourself?
Yeah, I couldn't. I couldn't even receive. It was like I didn't know how.
Right.
How could somebody that's not real to me, not real, or I didn't perceive as real, how could he
offer
me forgiveness?
Yeah. Let's
how could he even forgive me?
Let's stop right there. About a year later, Donna found herself pregnant again for the third time. But this time something was different. The supernatural entered the picture. We'll be right back.
Call now and get Donna Grisham's brand new powerful book, Journeys of Choice, and her anointed 2-part audio CD set, Destination Freedom. This is an exclusive offer for our It's Supernatural audience. Yours for a donation of $29. Shipping and handling is included. Ask for offer number 9791. At 16 years old, Donna Grisham was raped, left violated, broken, and pregnant. She had an abortion. Her life quickly became a downward spiral of hopelessness and fear. Donna has interwoven a collection of 15 different testimonies in her book, Journeys of Choice, including her own powerful story. Each are uniquely written to reveal the extraordinary power of choice. You will understand how choosing life versus death not only affects the baby, but it also impacts the father, the mother, the grandparents, and siblings. It affects the next generation as well. Receive an impartation of wisdom on how to make godly decisions in the midst of trauma and crisis. Receive supernatural redemption from a broken past. Understand the power of forgiveness. Learn how to get set free from regrets, shame, sin, past abuse, abandonment, and addictions. Understand how to walk again in God's divine promises and plans for your life. Anyone who has had an abortion or is considering an abortion, or who knows someone who has had an abortion, must read this book. You will also receive Donna Grisham's 2-part audio CD set, Destination Freedom. In her 2-part audio CD series, Donna will share and impart the wisdom and hope she has received from the Word of God, as well as minister to your deep hurts, pray for you and over you. Release supernatural freedom into every area of your life. Speak God's purpose and plans over you. Donna wants you to know that you don't have to live in the regrets of past choices. Don't let the regrets of your past determine your future. Don't miss out on getting Donna Grisham's brand new powerful book, Journeys of Choice, and her anointed 2-part audio CD set, Destination Freedom. This is an exclusive offer for our It's Supernatural audience. Yours for a donation of $29. Shipping and handling is included. Ask for offer number 9791. Call or you can send your check to Sid Roth. It's Supernatural. P.O. Box 39222, Charlotte, North Carolina 28278. Please specify offer number 9791 or log on to sidroth.org. Call or write today.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm here with Donna Grisham. And Donna, I said when we went to the break, the supernatural had entered the picture. You were pregnant for a third time, and you wound up asking a question that you'd never asked of a person that you'd never talked to before. What was the question?
Yeah, Donna, I was actually at PTL, and I was at a girls' home, had made the decision, you know, abortion wasn't the option.
Yes.
Abortion was not. And so I went to PTL and at the girls' home, and I went to my counselor and was talking to my counselor, and we were just, you know, talking about whether I was going to keep the baby or whether I was going to put the baby up for adoption. And she wasn't pressuring me or anything. She was letting me take my time and just pray and just seek God. And so I left the counselor's office, went back to my room, and I laid down flat on my face on the floor. And I literally started crying, and I was crying, and I said, God, I've made a mess of my life. I said, I don't even know if you're real. I said, I'm not sure if you're real, then I need you to help me. I need an answer.
Yes.
I know in my heart what I want. But if you're really real, tell me what you want. Tell me what you want me to do.
You had never spoken to him before, had you?
No. I mean, I was taught, and honestly, I'll be honest, I wasn't sure if I was going to get an answer, what was going to happen, because I was just talking out loud and just, you know, because, you know, I heard people talk to God, but I didn't know even if God was real. So I just was asking, saying, look,
and what a lesson.
Are you real?
What a lesson for all of
If
us
you're real
to say, you know what, God, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to do, no matter what your circumstances are? So when you asked that question, what happened?
Well, I had a vision, my first vision ever. Didn't know what to think, and you know, a vision is you know, when you're awake. And in the vision, I saw myself holding the baby and I walked up and I handed the baby to Jesus. I knew it was Jesus.
Yeah.
I handed it, and I turned around and walked away. Well, my first thought was, I'm going to put this baby up for adoption.
So you thought that was a sign that adoption is the answer.
Right.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is we try to, with visions, we try to interpret them ourselves, and that's what I was doing. I didn't know what, you know, I was thinking, this is what, and so I got a pass that weekend. I got a pass to go back home to Brunswick from PTL in Fort Mill, South Carolina. And once I got up that next morning, and I was getting my stuff together and gathering my stuff, and the Lord's, I mean, I heard, and I knew it was weird because I had this thought, I need to take everything with me. And my first
like
thought
all your
was,
things that you had taken to the
and I
to
was
the girls'
like,
home.
well, why am I going to take my things with me? Because I'm going to put the baby up for adoption, and these people here are going to help me. Who's going to help me if I'm going back to Georgia? That was in the back of my mind, but I didn't question. I just went ahead and got everything. I mean, I didn't have a whole lot, and so I got things, and I left from Charlotte, took a bus from Charlotte, North Carolina to Brunswick, Georgia, got home, my mom picked me up, and we went to bed that night, got up the next morning, and we ended up going to a furniture store. She said, I want to show you something.
So here's something else that's very supernatural, because here's the mom that was so embarrassed and so ashamed and so disappointed before.
Yeah.
And she said to you, God spoke to me and told me.
Yeah, she was instrumental in you know, the abortion. So this that happened was really supernatural. We go into the furniture store, and we're walking around, and I'm just looking around and not realizing, I'm thinking she's trying to look for something for the house, you know, and she never tells me. And the next thing I know, she said, Donna, come back here. I want to show you something. So I walk back to the back. Sorry. Walk back to the back, and she's standing next to a crib, and she goes, what do you think? And Donna, at first, I thought it was a trick question, because she was never, she never wanted to talk about, even during the pregnancy, she didn't want to talk about it. You know, I would say, well, what about this name if I keep the baby? And I mean, just what ifs. And she never, but she said, God, and then next thing, I noticed she noticed how I was looking, because I was like looking like with okay, why are you asking me this? Is this a trick question? And so she says, Donna, God's told me I'm to do whatever I can to help you raise that baby.
Wow.
And literally, I started crying. She started crying. She embraced me. And that was the beginning of God restoring our relationship, because it had been estranged since I was 16 years old.
So it was restoration on two fronts.
Or 25 at the time.
You had the vision of Jesus. You realized that he was real. And so you formed a relationship, a personal relationship with him. And now your relationship with your mom was being restored. And I know you matured, you were doing so many things, and that changed your life completely. You had a wonderful baby boy, and you started asking God, but what about my babies? What about my babies?
So I had asked the Lord for a dream, a vision, anything, not realizing that he was going to translate me to heaven. And I was in a little small house worship setting, and just a couple of women, and we were worshiping. I was on a couch, and next thing I know, I'm on this park bench. I'm sitting, and I'm so taken with this park bench. It was the most beautiful park bench in the world. I mean, nothing on earth. Beautiful grass, beautiful flowers, a river that looked like a stream, but I know it was a river now. And next thing I know, a little girl and a little boy come running up to me, and they climb up in my lap, and they start kissing me, one on one cheek and one on the other cheek. And they start telling me, we forgive you, Mommy, we forgive you, Mommy, we forgive you. They said, we love you, Mommy, we love you, Mommy, we love you. And they said, we'll see you again. And when they said, we'll see you again, I literally was back on the
These were your children.
Yeah, my little girl and my little boy.
Wow. So God had actually assured you, you know what? Your children are fine. They're here. They're great.
Yeah.
They've forgiven you. They love you. I've forgiven you. I love you.
Yeah.
Donna, I know things started moving quickly. You had never wanted to share your story. You buried it deep so that you never had to talk about it. But after this vision, something came alive in you. The Lord just really did a work inside of me, and my heart was to speak and to share and to be a voice, that my babies deserved for me to speak on their behalf, that it wasn't their fault, that it was mine, and that I wanted to share. Yeah.
I wanted, the Lord wanted me to share my story. I was like Lazarus.
Yeah.
I was like, I was dead in the grave, and I was not going to be
But you
resurrected.
said that early on.
Yeah.
You felt nothing. You were dead inside. You didn't have any feelings, anything. You just felt so dead inside.
I really, when
You're not
all
now.
No, when all this happened, the Lord resurrected something inside of me, and it's a passion of mine. It's a passion to just, share my story, because other women need to hear that God forgives.
That's right.
That
That's
He
right. The
forgives.
same hurt, the same deep hurt, the
Exactly.
trauma, the pain, the shame. You know that's not just you, that's other people too. And this is one thing I love about your ministry. You have a twofold ministry. One of them, as I said before, the spirit of a warrior. You are such a champion for the unborn. All the things that you are doing to speak, to be that voice for the unborn. But the second part of that is what you just mentioned. For all those people out there who have deep hurts, that have wounds, that have trauma, that they feel like nothing. You have determined that you will be a voice and you will bring healing and hope to them through the Lord.
Yeah.
What's going on there?
Well, I just, I share my story anytime I get a chance to. The Lord's, even in the smallest venues, the Lord said, don't say no, because the more you share your story,
Right.
and the more you get it out there, that people are going to know that He forgives, that He will forgive anything.
Has anybody gone too far?
No.
That God
Oh,
cannot
no.
reach
No,
them.
let me just say that if you feel in your heart that you have just gone to the end and you're that there's that God can't forgive you, that He hates you, and I mean the enemy will tell you all sorts of things, that you're a murderer and you're this and you're that. Well, let me tell you, He loves you so much, and He forgives you. All you have to do is ask Him. You just ask Him to forgive you, and He will forgive you. But not only that, you have to forgive yourself. That was the hardest thing that I had to do, was to forgive myself. And you have to forgive yourself.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. I want to let everybody know that Donna has a weekly television program right here on ISN Network, the Supernatural Network, and it's called The Real Pro-Choice. So be sure and look for that on ISN. And Donna, I wanted to ask you this one last thing before we close. Everybody has choices. You had choices. We don't always make the right choice, but choices are not just for us people. God made an ultimate choice, and Jesus made a sacrificial choice.
Yes.
Will you tell everybody about that as we close the program?
Yes, the ultimate choice that God made was before the foundations of the world, He chose you.
Ooh.
He made you
Yes.
His choice before the foundations of the world. Not only that, Jesus, when he was going to the cross, the Scripture says that He could have called 10,000 angels and stopped it all. But you know what? You became His sacrificial choice.
Wow.
You became the reason why He hung on that cross. You were the reason. You were His choice when He died and He was buried and He rose again.
Yes.
And He loves you so much, and He forgives you, and He wants to be a part of your life. And right now, I just pray, and wherever you're at, wherever you're if you're in your room by yourself and you're alone, whether you're in the car or whatever, that you just ask Him to come into your life. Like me, I didn't know if He was real or not. But like me, He showed me that He loved me, and He showed me that He was real. And
That's
He'll
right.
do the same for you.
That's right. Donna, thank you so much for being with us. And thank you all for joining us for this powerful, powerful program. We all have choices, and you have a choice today. Choose life and choose Jesus. Join us next time.